This hour, lead story, talking baseball. We are going to go to the Mexican League. Say what? Let me explain. Yeah, talk some baseball. Viva Mexico. So that is where a lost all-star is currently toiling, waiting for a chance, and no one's calling. Now, I don't know if you heard about this or not, but maybe you missed it. We talked about this guy a fair amount about a year ago. Former Cy Young winner Trevor Bauer says that Major League Baseball has pressured teams to not sign him following a 194-game suspension for violating MLB's domestic violence policy. Bauer went on the socials and said, when asked specifically what's going on, why no one's signed him, he said, one team told us, meaning Bauer and his agent, it is not their decision, it is a Major League Baseball decision. So baseball was asked about this. Baseball disagrees with Bauer. When contacted for a response by the Daily Mail tabloid, the league repeated a previous statement saying, quote, Trevor Bauer served the entirety of his discipline and is an unrestricted free agent available to sign a contract with any team, close quote. So someone is lying, right? You know that, and I know that. Someone is not telling the truth here. Bauer is saying, hey, baseball, a team wanted him, and they said they couldn't sign him. It's a baseball decision. Baseball's saying, no, he's free to sign anywhere he wants. He's an unrestricted free agent. So someone's not telling the truth. Let us discuss the question. Trevor Bauer accusing Major League Baseball of secretly blackballing him, but they are denying it. We have a he said situation. What is the more believable story? So I've got Mark Zuckerberg, Spider-Man, and Sandlot rules, and we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a delicious cinnamon roll, which is my favorite item when I go to a donut shop, the cinnamon roll. I love the cinnamon roll. All right, now, first of all, the arrow is pointing in terms of who is more believable, which story is more believable. The arrow is absolutely pointing the direction of Trevor Bauer. Now, you might think Bauer's a loser and a punk and all, call him all kinds of names, but in this chapter of the book, it is much more plausible that teams have been, I don't know if ordered is the right way to say it, but it has been suggested to not sign Trevor Bauer. That makes a lot more sense than every single team in baseball deciding we don't want to touch this guy. All right, when everyone's competitive, they want to win. Major League Baseball didn't technically deny Trevor Bauer's claim, by the way. They merely served leftovers. They mindlessly repeated a stock answer. But it is much more likely than not that there is some funny business going on, that Major League Baseball has opened up the playbook of Mark Zuckerberg over with Instagram, shadow banning, also known as ghost banning or stealth banning, commonly defined as the practice of blocking a user or their content, either fully or partially, right? And sometimes it's not obvious. Oftentimes it's not obvious to the person who's being shadow banned. In this case, Trevor Bauer is allowed to pitch in other leagues, but he is verboten in Major League Baseball. And he's got friends, and people talk, and they whisper and things like that. And people in baseball, this is what he claims he's hearing from teams. Like, hey, we'd like to sign you, but if we sign you, then Major League Baseball is going to be upset with us, and then they're going to air some of our dirty laundry, and we don't want our dirty laundry aired, so we just can't sign you. Now, Bauer has pitched well, by the way, in the Mexican League this season, from what we are told. Not that I've watched the games, but he's pitched well, supposedly, by those that have paid attention. He also pitched well overseas in Asia. I think he was in Japan in 2023. And even with Major League Baseball being filled with a bunch of suck-bag pitchers from sea to shining sea, Trevor Bauer cannot even get a workout, can't even get a minor league contract. Now, Bauer he responded to somebody on social media. I saw this the other day where somebody was like, well, he wants too much money. Bauer said he's offered to play for the Major League Baseball minimum, and still no one will bring him in. Now, there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the story goes that supposedly the shadow ban will end after this season. So Bauer, we'll see if this is true or not, that Bauer has heard the shadow ban ends after this year, so he will be allowed to sign with the team next season for spring training. Now, secondly, the Bronx is burning. Aaron Judge hitting home runs here, there, and everywhere. And he's also taking shrapnel. The manager of the Staten Island Little League team that currently is in Williamsport ripping apart Aaron Judge this week for not meeting with his team ahead of the made-for-television Little League Classic that was played in Williamsport. The coach was also upset that Judge did not even acknowledge the players that were there at the game. He says, how about turning around, quote, how about turning around or waving to New York and the kids that think you're a hero, the coach said. They are the ones that pay your salary. Well, actually, the kids don't. Their parents do. They were disappointed. Maybe he'll want to make it up for it and come and see them, he said. So the Bronx Bombers were reportedly livid that Aaron Judge's good name was being sullied. Following the comments, they released a very gruff, prepared statement defending Aaron Judge while taking a shot at the Little League coach without mentioning the name of the Little League coach or Aaron Judge. So how do you assess this one? So it is possible that the Little League coach is just a douche canoe. He is playing the kid card from the bottom of the deck. He's playing the kid card. Nevertheless, Aaron Judge has something that is coveted in American society, celebrity status. And when you're a celebrity, even though it's changed a little bit in the age of social media, you are still held to a higher standard. That he seems larger than life. You must respect the depth of power that you hold and the power to mold the minds of young kids through the hypnotic days of fame which you have. It is the great Spider-Man. I learned this when I was a kid from Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. You must not be a schmuck. And is it unfair that Aaron Judge always has to be on and do the right thing? Well, it goes with the territory. It's not unfair when he gets paid that direct deposit every couple weeks. That's not unfair. And it's part of the package. All right, final thought. We go to Canada. That is where former Reds star Joey Votto has exited the big league stage left. He was trying to come back with the Blue Jays. He has raised the white flag. He's given up. He's retiring. And that leads to the obvious question, now that Joey Votto is done. What chance do you give Joey Votto of getting into Cooperstown? Now, when I first parsed this, when I first tossed this into my mind and tried to figure out, well, is this guy a Hall of Famer? I was like, he's not a Hall of Famer. But the MALLER odds on this, after a thorough review of the criteria that I have for the Hall of Fame, I'm going to say that Votto is a minus 120, MALLER odds, minus 120, which is roughly 55%. Now, the MALLER Baseball Hall of Fame criteria, were you, if you were a pitcher, a Cy Young winner, at least one? Did you win an MVP if you were a position player? Were you a multi-time All-Star? All right? You had multi-All-Star games. Did you win multiple Gold Glove awards? Can the history of baseball during your era be written without mentioning your name? All right? And you have to check off at least a couple of those boxes to be considered a Hall of Famer. So Joey Votto actually does. He doesn't have a strong case, but he did win an MVP award back in the day with the Reds. He only won one Gold Glove, so that doesn't count. He was a 6-time All-Star, so you can certainly tell the history of baseball without mentioning Joey Votto's name, because he didn't do much in the playoffs and didn't make the playoffs much with the Cincinnati Reds. So he's a borderline case. And the issue with this is that Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer. So if Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer, then Joey Votto should be in the Hall of Fame. See, that's the problem. You lower the standards when you let a guy like Scott Rowland in. But I put him in the category Votto with Adrian Gonzalez, Will Clark back in the 80s. I guess a current player would be Paul Goldschmidt. Like that brand of player. And they were all productive. They were all good. They were all multi-time All-Stars and all that. But you don't think of them as like Hall of Famers, right? Now, that said, Joey Votto is a mensch. He's charismatic. He's charming. He's likable. He is beloved by the people that vote for the Hall of Fame. He was very accessible. He was a great quote. So he does have that Svengali effect with the people that decide it. And Sandlot rules. If it's close, the tie goes to the runner. Stay tuned. Developing hot. ... It is the Ben Maller Show as we are rolling on. If you'd like to be part, speakeasy rules are in effect, but you can join us here. Call up, scream, shout, yell, all of that. We'll take your calls. Tomorrow will be a newbie night. We pushed it back to tomorrow, but we'll have a